going on, Jeromes? So it indeed was the most transformative offseason in Vikings franchise history. Danielle Hunter gone, and Kirk Cousins is gone. And yes, once you move on from your starting quarterback, there's usually some transition involved. And yes, the Vikings had some good times, bad times. You know, I had my share with Kirk Cousins, and had some highs, had some lows. It is what it is. But the Vikings moved on, and Kirk signed with the Falcons. 4 years, $180 million, $100 million guaranteed, and also a big Penix in the first round. Can't wait to see how that develops. Anyways, but the Vikings moved on with a 21-year-old blonde named J.J. McCarthy. Yes, future franchise quarterback. So I feel like both sides are happy. Yeah. Good times, man. Long story longer. So Harrison Phillips, who's been a great defensive line pickup, a great leader, great in the community as well. Harrison's heroes. Woo! Love picking him up from the Buffalo Bills, as well as I really liked him at Stanford. I wanted him in his draft from back in the day, but glad he landed in purple. And also, like, he led the NFL in tackles for loss last year. He had a career high in tackles and was just completely getting after it, a career high in snaps as well. And he was talking to NFL Network, NFL Total Access, about what's going to be going on with the Vikings in the leadership vacuum that has been created by Kirk Cousins leaving. And this is what he said. Harrison Phillips hopes to prove that many parts of Minnesota derive its leadership from are greater than the sum of what Kirk Cousins took with him to Atlanta after 6 years as the Vikings leader, but really 4. Cousins jumped ship to the Falcons, but Phillips there for the last 2 of those seasons believes the club might actually stand to improve as it compensates for his departure. Quote, there's going to be a huge loss, Phillips said Wednesday on NFL Total Access. Kirk Cousins, as a person, as a leader, as a teammate, that's a big void in your locker room. One of the most humble guys that I've ever been around. Servant leader, just a great motivator. He's great. To ask one person to fill that void is probably not probable. So what we're going to do is have a great leadership team, which we've already seen. There's already guys that I've seen these last few seasons being on this rooster. Some are captains, some are not captains yet, but will be in their careers. And so we're going to pass that torch off and kind of be a division of labor. We're going to all carry that load together, and maybe we can be a better football team for it. Kurt's obviously amazing. I've learned a lot from him and the leadership side of things, and that's an area I'm trying to step up and improve my game by working on those abilities. Of the Vikings 8 captains last year, they actually lost a bit more than just a quarterback. Danielle Hunter and Jordan Hicks also joined new teams of free agency. Justin Franklin Jefferson, Harrison Smith, Brian O'Neill, C.J. Ham, Josh Metellus remain. And Phillips is right. So once you lose an established veteran quarterback like Kirk Cousins, who, and remember, he walked into a very heavily veteran-laden team in 2018. He's supposed to be that missing piece. He was supposed to be better than Case Keenum and take the Vikings to the promised land. So it took a while for him to really fit in. And I would say post-Rona, like the last 3 seasons, like he had really been the team leader. Now, once you have a sea change there, it is going to take a village to completely lead this thing. But I mean, the Vikings over the last 3 seasons, I mean, they've lost a number of their leaders, whether it be Everson Griffin, whether it be Anthony Barr, whether it be Eric Hendricks and Dalvin, and also Adam Thielen. So, I mean, the Vikings have lost a number of the guys that have been luminaries for a number of years, and it is what it is. And the Vikings are going to be one of the youngest teams in the league, but the cupboard is not bare in terms of leadership. C.J. Ham, fullback as well as special teams captain, is still there. Justin Friggin Jefferson stepping up, hopefully with a much larger contract as a true blue leader of this team. Hawkinson, Darrisaw, Bradbury, O'Neill in that mix. Harrison Phillips, Josh Metellus, Harrison Smith. Also, I mean, veteran guys that have been around. And Byron Murphy's only been here for a year, but he could be a leader in the cornerback room. Aaron Jones has been around forever. And even though it's his first year with the team, frankly, I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up wearing a captaincy. Ivan Pace Jr., even though it's only year 2 of him, I think that he showed a lot of true leadership capabilities last season, and I think that he could be one of the young leaders on this team. So I think that Phillips is right. Like, it is going to take a little bit of adjustment and some other guys to step up. Also, don't sleep on J.J. McCarthy and Sam Darnold, right? So Sam Darnold is 26, has been around the block. And yes, he's finally on a team that has some talent and some good coaching. So maybe he steps up as a leader. Or, I mean, J.J. McCarthy, like, one of his main intangibles is leadership. And just because he's 21, I mean, doesn't mean that he can't fully lead this team. I mean, look at C.J. Stroud with the Texans last year and now. I mean, there's no question who the leader, who the alpha, who the leader of that wolf pack is, and it is C.J. Stroud. So I do think that J.J. McCarthy has that mentality as well. And frankly, if he breaks training camp as the starting quarterback, he earned that job over Darnold and Mullins and Jaron Hall. I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up wearing the captain C, because it's weird when your starter isn't the captain, right? It's kind of weird. But either way, yeah, I mean, Kirk eventually established himself as the true leader of this team, and the Vikings were going to follow him anywhere. Kirk chains and all that stuff. But, I mean, it's time to move on. And frankly, I think the next leader of this team is in that same position. I think that McCarthy has so many of the soft skills, so many of the intangibles, and it's not BS. Like, maybe it's a little bit rah-rah, sis-boom, bah, but I think that he's a guy that can lead by his example. I think that he's a guy that can lead on the field. I think that he is a true leader of men, but for the time being, I'm with Phillips. Like, I think it will take a bit of a division of labor. But your thoughts are thoughts. Harrison Phillips talks about how the Vikings are going to replace Kirk Cousins' leadership. Listener thoughts and our thoughts, blah, blah, blah. You guys know what to do. Skull production value.